Welcome to the official Bathtub Refinishing podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. This is where we discuss the refinishing industry, interview owners and operators, and give tips to customers and entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Daniel Montalvo.
Hello, everybody. We are continuing the conversation with Marissa from, what is it again? Perma-Glaze
of Texas.
Perma-Glaze of Texas. And I get there's so many glazes over here. Like I have Glaze. I think there's a Perma-Glaze here too. Let me go ahead and.
There probably is. There used to be a ton of them, and now I think there's only like 3 or 4 left. Okay. We probably will rebrand when our contract with them is up in 2 years or so, but for now we're Perma-Glaze of Texas.
Okay. And so continue on what you were saying. So you were saying you wanted to kind of continue the culture of being a female owned and operated business, correct?
Yes. So I do. Yeah. So, we're a mother-daughter business now. And probably my biggest opportunity to hire somebody will be in January. My mom's current plans are to take a step back from the business in January.
Okay.
But she could change her mind. But I do want to keep it a female-owned and operated business because I do feel like it gives us an edge, kind of a unique perspective. It gives us kind of a unique clientele. Like I don't remember if I was telling you before we started recording, but we get a lot of like single moms or work from home moms with kids, or we have a lot of elderly clientele, which I don't know if that's that's everyone probably does, but I feel like our clientele is a little bit more unique. We really don't have a ton of just like men that hire us, which is fine.
Well, I mean,
but it also just might be that women run their households. So
yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say. We get a lot of women clients too. The overwhelming majority of them are. So that actually might be a good strategy for you guys. It's perfectly fine. However you want to do it. I think that is definitely unique. Have there been challenges in the industry for you because of that?
Lately, no. When I first began, I was 22 and I really looked very young. And I went through a phase where I also I was self-employed. So I was like, I'm going to dye my hair blue and nobody can stop me. So I had some trouble at first. There was one man who made me cry probably my first or second year because I arrived and my mom's very good at explaining everything to people before I get there, but some people don't want to read the information that's given to them.
Yeah.
So he opened the door and I was like, hey, my name's Marissa. I'm with Perma-Glaze in Texas. I'll be refinishing your bathtub today. And he was like, why are you here? I was just like, well, again, I'm introduced myself again. He's like, well, where's the real person? Did they just send you because the man is sick today or something? And I was like, no, this is my business and I do the work. And he was just like, well, this isn't what I thought I was agreeing to. I don't want you to do that. So he just canceled the appointment right then and there and told me to go away. So I just started crying on his porch because I was feeling really bad about myself. But again, I was inexperienced in how to handle people. I know you're 22 right now, right? And you are much better at people than I was at that age.
Well, I'm 20. Am I 23 now? 24. I just turned 24.
Wait. Oh, you're 24? Okay, great. Well, by 24, I was great. But then I went through the people don't take me seriously phase.
Yeah.
Then I went into the I'm going to, for lack of a better word, just kind of have like a bitchy exterior. So I just like started anticipating that people were not going to take me seriously. So I started having like a bad attitude towards all of our clients. I would arrive at someone's house, and if I saw it was a man I was interacting with, I immediately had like a chip on my shoulder. And I was going to be like trying to assert myself in a way that was not productive, I don't think, looking back on it now. And then, that lasted a little while. I think we really struggled then. And I kind of struggled at that point with like, is this really what I want to do? Like, should I go back to the beauty industry? And I actually did at that point get a part-time job at a spa and quickly realized that I did not want to go back to the beauty industry. And now I'm in a place where I feel actually confident. I don't feel, if anyone doesn't take me seriously because I am a female, I mean, that's their problem, not mine. I am competent. I am capable. So if they have some kind of weird, feeling that I'm not going to do a good job because I'm a woman, I'm just like, I can't help you there, but I'm going to do my job and do a great job.
Yeah. I mean,
so I don't let it make me cry, and I don't let it, give me a bad attitude anymore.
Yeah, I could totally understand that. Like, I would think, just based off of some of the type of people who do like this kind of work, like I would think, that there is some struggle there with that, because I've encountered people who don't want to work with us because I have a black guy that works with us. Like, I've had that. Like,
good grief.
And I will literally not even do the job for them. Like,
Oh no.
I've had people call cops on our texts, because sometimes we work at vacant properties where they leave a lockbox.
Of course.
And people see us like walk into a house that's abandoned, and like they see a person that looks a certain way, they like make a scene about it.
Oh my gosh.
So, and Florida's really down south, so typically it's not in Orlando. It's typically in like the smaller areas, but it's happened before, so I could definitely imagine that.
Gosh, I mean, that's much worse than someone being condescending about me being a young woman.
I mean,
that's awful. I've never had the police called on me, at least.
It's. I mean, yeah, that kind of sucks. But I mean, it's at any rate, they're both things that you can't control. It doesn't really matter who's doing the job as long as it's a good job. That's just like my opinion. But there are a couple weirdos out there that I don't know. They just, they have prejudice and stuff.
Yeah, so. People are strange.
Yeah. So is there any questions that you have, like, for me about kind of how our business side operates or anything like that? Any tips or something that maybe you could find useful?
Well, I think the main things I did want to talk to you about were like, how did you get to that point where you were, I heard you talk about how, when you got the, business from your parents, like, nothing was correct. They didn't even have the right phone number up. Like how you got from that point to now. I assume you have several crews out, like doing several jobs a day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like there's an awkward period there where you have to, like you were saying, you have to take a risk to grow.
Yeah.
So what your risks were, like you said, just spending more money on ads, but was there anything that you felt was like you were hesitant to do because it felt risky?
So definitely putting more money into ads felt risky because I was seeing results at a time with like $10, $15 a day. So I was like, oh, do I really need to put more? I could barely handle this. But I started thinking, and I watch a lot of, I wouldn't call it self-help, but like business-minded, like entrepreneur people online. So like Gary Vee and stuff like that. A lot of people are familiar with him. one of the big things that like kind of resonated with me was, well, if you fail, so what? It's not like you're going to forget how to do the job. Like, you could always go back and you can always do it yourself again if it didn't work out. So that's kind of the way I started looking at things, you know, in the grand scheme of things. Is it a risk? Yes. If it doesn't work out, is it the end of the world? Not really. Like if I spend $1,000 on ads and it doesn't convert for some reason, which is very, very, very unlikely, like, am I going to be homeless because of $1,000? No. So, like, that was my mindset. And so and a lot of it also was like understanding that this is a full-time job and very much committing myself to the brand building and the relationship building aspect of the business. I started doing a lot of research for myself. A lot of it was like, I would say a lot of it was just kind of unfucking my mind. I was, I had this warped kind of way that I was thinking about things. So I would do things like I would overthink bids for hotels all the time. Like, if I do it at $345, it might be too expensive because I know someone's going to do it for less. So maybe I should do $339.99. Like, but then one day I was just like, you know what? I know that these motherfuckers just get a budget and their budget is whatever it is. And the guy who you send the bid to has no control and you have no control. And again, people buy for their reasons, not yours, which is something that I kind of got from Gary Vee, and it's true. So I was like, I will give them my price. I will describe in detail what we do, what our warranty is, and if they like it, they like it, and if they don't, they don't. And basically a lot of it was just kind of like reprogramming myself. That's kind of the way I was watching a lot of content that was kind of restructuring my thinking. And that's how I studied. Like I would just watch videos after video after video. And I was thinking to myself, these people have to be doing something that works. I mean, like, you know, you have people like Gary Vee specifically who had like a wine show that nobody was watching for 7 years. And then one day his wine business is worth like $1 billion. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, so I was like, and there's a bunch of them. I just can't think of them right now. There's one that I watched called The Contractor Fight too. And similar situation, like he had like a painting company. He was wondering why he didn't have work, and he used to, like quality is the only thing that matters. And, you know, like people think that that's what matters, but at the end of the day, you can paint the prettiest tub in America. If you're not running ads, no one's going to know or give a fuck about you. So that's why sometimes people are so surprised when they see like a job that Miracle Method did and that it looks kind of ugly. And they're like, oh, but these guys are national. And it's like, because they advertise and because they franchise and their name is everywhere. That doesn't mean that they're great. It just means that they have the recognition. So for sure. I would say an easy thing to do, because I it's not that I don't like reading, but I prefer to visually see things and listen to people speak. So one of the big things that worked for me was just hours at a time, or when I was doing something like physical or something, like I would just listen to other people and trying to change my frame of thinking and then implementing it with the understanding that shit can hit the fan, but it's most likely not going to. And that's sure. Little by little it started changing. You know, I started like I don't like talking about, because sometimes people take things like as a flex, but like I'm at the point now where like we just
flex. Who cares? You did the work.
We just spent $10,000 on a new website.
That's amazing.
And we spent $3,500 on the wrap for the truck, and we spent $31,000 on the truck. So like we're investing heavy in the business, and a lot of people might think, well, like like why would you spend $3,500 on a wrap? Because like it's free advertising. Like I just got a call from a lady today. We were doing a job in her neighborhood. She saw the truck from a mile away because it looked nice, and she came up and took a picture of it. Turns out her tub had been refinished before, and she thought somebody had painted it with like wall paint. and like was wondering why it was peeling and stuff. And we gave her a quote to strip and refinish it, and she scheduled the job. Like that is more
That's
effective.
that's paid for more than 10% of it.
Exactly.
Of the wrap.
And guess
it's
what?
amazing.
It's gonna outlast like the money spent. Like the wrap is gonna be it's gonna be around longer than what we spent on it. You know what I mean? And that's just like, I started, recently my thing has been like, I want to actually build a local brand. So I want my website to be like great and track leads and conversions and be like on point. Also, our truck design, I let the designers completely choose everything themselves because they're designers and they do that. I gave them the information that I felt was important, but I said, you guys do whatever you want with it. And everybody loves it. And I paid them for that, and but at the end of the day, like the biggest thing for me has been reinvesting in the business and educating myself based off other people who have grown businesses. I mean, that's really the way that I've done it, and it's been working. Right now we have 4 crews, and today, I'm gonna pull up the schedule just to let you know what we're doing just today.
Sure.
We are doing a garden tub with a tub and surround in one house. We are doing a full bathroom that needs to be stripped. So like a tub with like tile throughout, and that needs to be stripped.
Oh, and all of it. Gosh.
Yep. And then we have 3 of our techs at that new hotel that you saw me post about, where we're doing 5 units. Some of them are bathtubs, some of them are showers. And I kind of got everybody like busy today. So, and then it's like that the whole week. Like the whole week I have full. And it used to not be like that. I used to, and I would also, when I would take someone new, I was like, God damn, how am I going to keep them busy? An example is one of my techs named Damon. He had a family emergency, and he was basically out for like a month because he had to be at a funeral and didn't have the money to come back. It was a whole thing. So when he got back, I was like, hey, I might have to have you do shop work for a week and kind of just pay you half days. But what I didn't realize was, like, I was just able to serve people faster. And so when people would call, I'd be like, you know what? I could do it tomorrow. And they'd be like, oh, shit, I'll do it tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, he had 2 days in the shop, and I filled up his next 3 weeks. So it really, having the people is a good thing. And also, like I was saying before, investing. That's part of investing too. Once you get to a certain point, you're investing in keeping the person around. So if you get to the point where you have a shop and you might not have something on the schedule, you can put them to clean equipment or to do things in the shop, or something that I'm going to start doing that I stole from this guy that I was telling you about, the contractor fight guy. He makes his technicians call back their last 6 jobs when they have nothing going on and ask them if there's any warranty claims that they need. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that just because it's just being proactive, and it displays a certain level of professionalism that you're even asking. Because a lot of the times, from warranty claims stems new opportunities. So, rather than having them do nothing, and that also gives the technician perspective of like, this is what a pissed off customer sounds like if they get one. You know what I mean?
Well, too, it's best to, it shows that you're willing to, honor your warranty, that you're not just saying, oh, here's my warranty. Because a lot of people, I think, don't actually expect people to come back for any issues. And
most of them won't. But just the fact that you reach out, like if you're a homeowner and you're selling the house and you don't tell the contractor, and a month later the contractor calls you and is like, hey, is everything okay with the job we did? And you already long gone sold the house. Are you not going to consider that contractor again if you need some work done in a new house? Like just the fact that they themselves reached out, it's just another aspect of brand building, investing in, your customers, getting everything you can out of them. Because just because they called you once doesn't mean they never have the need again. They might have lost your number. you know?
Exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, the biggest things are those. You cannot have a fear of investing unless you're very content with where you are right now. If you have no plans or no like want to grow, you're gonna stay the same. But if you never try to get to the next level, you're never gonna know. And then you're gonna look back and be like, damn, I never even tried, and you're just gonna feel bad about yourself.
That's kind of one thing. The reinvesting is something that I've been trying to do more lately. I mean, I moved out of my parents' house very young, and I got myself into a lot of debt. Mm-hmm. And it took me from 19 to now being about to turn 30 to have paid off all my debt. So I've always been like, I can't get myself in more debt. I can't get myself in more debt. And I've just always had this fear of like, what if I'm not able to pay my bills and I have to use a credit card on something? I can't do that. I'm paying my old ones off. And so that's always been like a huge fear of mine. And it's kind of prevented me from reinvesting as much money in the business as I should have.
How much
but now
debt were you in?
Sorry.
How much debt were you in?
I mean, it was all like personal. Like I literally bought everything on a credit card and thought I was like never gonna have to pay it back. I was like 19 and so stupid. But I mean, it was like 25,000.
Okay, so and then how long did it take you to pay it off? From when you actually started trying?
From when I actually started trying, I started actually paying it off in 2020, like really aggressively. And I just in May made my last payment.
Well,
so about 2 years.
I got great news for you. That means.
But I negotiated the debts down a lot. I did not pay $25,000.
Still, I mean, just what, about half? Maybe a little bit less?
Yeah, about half.
Regardless, because you were able to do that, that tells me that you have the financial discipline to, invest and not have to take out debt. So you already within what, 2 years, you got the debt down to zero and about 10 grand. So you could afford to do it again. I mean, you're probably better off now than you were when you first started trying to pay it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that was 2020. So business was really like, what's happening?
You just got to be more mindful of what you're doing. I'm very, very like that about debt too, because I had instability when I was younger. Like I told you, my parents, they had the business, but they were terrible at spending. They would finish a project and go buy a car and do stupid stuff like that.
Oh gosh.
So
no. But one thing I'm trying to do now that I'm free of that debt and I don't have that weighing on me is, and I have a decent amount of savings just for slower months, and just as a bit of a padding. I don't ever want to have to use it, but it's there just in case. But now what I'm trying to do is anything over like my personal budget for like paying my rent and buying groceries and making sure I can like go out of side of the house like and do something fun every once in a while so I'm not like miserable. Outside of that, instead of just like hoarding all my money into savings, I'm just saying like, okay, if my paycheck, because the way my mom and I do it is we each take a percentage. If the amount I'm meant to be paid is more than the amount I need, let's just spend that extra balance on ads. Mm-hmm. I don't need it. It was just going to go in my savings. Let's reinvest it in the business and have it, give me more money in the future.
So the way you guys are slicing it up is percentage of the profits?
Yeah.
Is it 50-50?
She and I are 50-50. We make the same amount, but what we do is 30% goes to the business, and then we split the 70%. So we each do 35.
Okay.
So, which we have adjusted that a few times. We each used to we used to do 20% to the business and then split 80 and do 40/40. But I was like, we need to be, that was really at a time where I was like, yo, we've got to put more money into advertising. Like, we need to put more money into the business. So I kind of advocated to be paid a little bit less, but it's a percentage. So if we're making more, it's fine.
That was me when I started. Like when I took over the business, my brother was still on the field, and I was so wary of like the technicians need to get paid because they're the ones that are making the money, that I was paying myself $200 every 2 weeks, and my
how do you live on that?
The business was taking care of personal expenses because it's me and my brother, so we're living together. You know what I mean? It was easier to do it like that at that point. But yeah, that's what I was doing for the longest, and still I don't pay myself that much. But again, the business does cover my expenses. I make $750 a week, and I don't pay myself more. I reinvest it into the business.
That's great. And if you know, like, this is all I need to be paid. Unfortunately, I do have my own. I do not live with my parents. I have my own household, and my husband does work and stuff too. We split everything, but you know, I know the point to where I'm like, okay, I don't need to make more than that. That's important to know and have the discipline to be like, that's all I need.
Well, regardless, the way I think about it, if I need to invest in the business, which makes me money, it's there. And if I need it for something, I could just pay it to myself. Like, I own the business. It's not like it's going anywhere.
Facts, yeah.
And it's easier to write off a business expense. Like if at the end of the year, you know, you have $10,000 in your personal savings, it's taxed higher than if you were a business, and there's so many things you can write off. In my eyes, I have access to the money anyway. So technically I have more. It's just that on paper, me personally, I don't make that much because I don't need it at the moment. You know what I mean? My personal expenses, housing, car, all that stuff comes out of the business, but I don't overpay myself just because, like, I know where that limit is, and that is important long term. What is your vision for your business? Like, if you could think ahead, like 4 years from now, 5 years from now, where do you want to be?
I mean, 4 or 5 years from now, I would like to be where you're at, I would like to have multiple crews. At that point, probably won't be all women. That's fine. Whatever. As I'm growing, I want it to be, you know, kind of more women oriented, but I would like to have multiple crews. I would like to be taking on more commercial work. You know, that's, you know, that high volume stuff is, you know, good to have on top of residential. I mean, 98% of what I do is residential, which is great, but it's a little less predictable, I think, than commercial. But
yeah,
I mean, I would like, and this is somewhere where my mom and I clash heads a lot. And since I'm saying this all publicly, I hope I don't say anything that hurts her feelings. So, Mom, if you're watching this or listening, I love you very much. You are aware of all of this. But somewhere we clash is in branding. Like, I think branding is so important, and kind of her perspective is like, we're just painters. Like we don't need to have a wrapped vehicle. It's a work truck. She always says, like, it's a work truck. It doesn't need to be nice. And I'm like, I disagree, because if you have a wrapped vehicle, again, like you said, that's great advertising. If it's eye-catching, people see it, like, it's advertisement. Mm-hmm. People are going to take pictures of it. That's how they're going to, their first introduction to you, that's how they're going to remember you. Yeah.
So go to your local Chick-fil-A that does delivery. They wrap their vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
They could do it in an unmarked vehicle. They want everyone to know that they deliver. Go to any serious construction company and they wrap their vehicles. Why do they do it? Yep. For awareness. When they're in a neighborhood, they could very easily take over the neighborhood with a wrapped vehicle. Yep. Because what happens is there's still neighborhoods in America where there's people who talk to their neighbors. And they're like, oh, I saw you had that truck there. What do they do? And before you know it, they're conversing. The fact that your vehicle says that you do bathtub refinishing, and it's not just black and white text, it's a logo, a nice wrap, something that catches your eye, that draws people's attention. There's a reason why multi-million-dollar businesses do this. You don't have to have a nice truck. I have trucks that aren't wrapped. I have some of them that aren't wrapped. It's not because I don't want to. It's because my thinking at this point is I'm going to slowly like redo my fleet to these Ford Mavericks because they're better on gas. But
those are so cool.
Yeah. So the first one we got was the one that I have there. And I'd rather, if I'm going to invest in a new truck, I'd rather wrap that than an old F-150. That's just my thinking. Sure. But you don't have to have it. But if a bathtub refinishing company is at one house and right next door at the neighbor's house, there's another bathtub refinishing company with a wrapped truck, which house do you know what's going on in that house? The one with the wrapped truck? Like, that's the only way of knowing what's going on. Just looking at bottles and seeing someone going back and forth to a truck doesn't do anything to distinguish you from the other guy. Having the wrapped vehicle that shows exactly what you're doing at that place and the services you offer, like you said, it's like, it's a billboard on wheels. Why wouldn't you want that?
I agree with all of that.
I don't, you know what it is? People like us who are very into the business and analytical side of it because we're on the internet and we see the potential, and we've seen countless examples on TikTok, on YouTube, on all these platforms of people who do this. We know the importance of brand nowadays, right? Whereas like people like your mom and even my parents, they never wrap their vehicles or their trucks. They might be under the impression that that doesn't really matter because the way it's been before was that the guy just pulls up in an ugly truck and does the job and that's it. But,
exactly.
But nowadays, every legit business wraps their vehicles and their cars. Matter of fact, when companies go do quotes for home remodels, they have little Honda Civics with wraps so that everybody knows that they're going there to quote a job. Realtors wrap their cars nowadays. Like, it is very important.
I'll try to, my husband might be getting a new car soon. I'm going to try to convince him to wrap just his regular car that he drives to work every day.
Yeah.
He won't like it, but hey, it'll help us make more money.
I think that the disconnect is that also we think big too. You know, people who we think big because we see the examples. So maybe that's another thing. Maybe she's like, well, this is just like, we don't need that because all we're doing is painting tubs. But let me tell you, like, I have 4 crews and we landed one hotel that contract is worth over $500,000.
Oh, wow.
And that is the Cabana Bay Beach Resort in Universal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we did 700 tubs there already. There's still 1,000 tubs left there to do. It's 1,800 bathtubs. And so, like, you can make a multi-million-dollar business out of something like this. This is a business that's still... First of all, it's still relatively new compared to other things in renovation, like the industry as a whole. And the margins in this kind of business are extraordinary compared to others. You know what I mean? Like the ticket prices are smaller, but you get a bigger chunk of that ticket. So there is big potential. And so I think thinking small, you could think small, but you're going to be in the same place forever. If you think big, that's the only way to grow.
Yeah, I think the frame, like, I don't think my mom would think she's thinking small. I think she perceives it as thinking safe.
Okay.
And it's what is safe. If it's risky, that means there's a possibility for failure.
The question I would pose to her if I were you is, what is the risk? Like, the risk being what exactly? Because the intended purpose is going to happen whether she likes it or not if you get it wrapped. Like, people are going to see it, and when you're doing a job at someone's house, they're automatically going to know, hey, she's there. Perma-Glaze is here. They're going to know. The neighbors are going to know Perma-Glaze is there. And they're going to wonder why and who and what they do. And like, it's going to happen. They're like, the only thing I could feasibly understand is like, oh, well, we don't want to spend that kind of money. Okay.
Yeah.
But do you want to stay stagnant? Because
right.
you have to invest in your business. Like,
For sure.
you know, and that's one of the easiest ways for a contractor to make business. It's, you know, there are companies who just wrap their vehicles and don't run ads. Like, there are plumbers like that around here.
Wow.
There's a company called Frank Gay Services, and this guy has like all his vehicles wrapped, and everybody sees them because they're bright orange. Like, everybody knows it's him.
Oh wow.
So that's like
Love
that's like his thing. Like, and it's fine. But like I'm saying to you, you know, I would pose to her that like, what is the drawback of this aside from the money? What, are you afraid that people aren't going to see it? Because they will. Like, it's impossible not to.
I sit in a lot of traffic. People will see it.
Yeah, and when you're at someone's house, that is the key opportunity. I mean, you could be mixing paint, and you can get 3 or 4 neighbors walking their dog asking you what you do, and you explain it to them, and it's literally a gold mine. Yeah.
So that's kind of a big point of contention between us. Until 3 weeks ago, so I had a little Chevy S10 that I was using as my work truck.
Okay.
And I finally, since getting that truck in 2017, I finally talked my mom into not wrapping it, but getting professionally designed logos, like lettering and stuff on it.
Okay.
And then literally the day we finalized the design with the designer, the car completely dies. I'm on the highway and it just stops running. And it was an old truck. We knew it was a possibility, but it didn't have that many miles on it. So we had to find another truck, which was a hassle, but we got that figured out. Mm-hmm. And now that I have this truck, it's kind of like, well, it is a used car, so it may not last that long. So, like, I think she's thinking, like, we'll probably have this truck for maybe 2 years before we have to replace it. She's like, is it even worth spending the money on anything? So that's kind of where we're at right now, is kind of in like a little tug of war about getting lettering on this current truck. One thing I do, because I don't have any signage on this truck, is I had yard signs made. Mm-hmm. So anytime I am at somebody's house, I put a couple yard signs up just to kind of explain what we're doing. And I put them both ends of the lawn, so like people coming from both directions. And I do get people all the time stop and ask for a card. It would be better if it wasn't 2 tiny yard signs, mm-hmm. but it's better than nothing. And another thing that we fight about is shirts. I think we should have good looking logo shirts.
Yes.
And again, we're just painters. You don't need it. You don't need to have a shirt with your logo on it. So that was another thing. We had the shirts designed at the same time as the truck lettering that I was going to have done. Mm-hmm. And
what's her
now
point of
she's kind of just rethinking it all.
What's her point of contention about the shirts? What does she think about that? Just that
you're a painter. You're a painter. You're going to get messy. And I'm like, yeah, but I could still, like, I go to Home Depot like 4 times a day. It's an exaggeration, but still, like, there's people who own homes there that need things done. Why shouldn't I? Or people who work other trades. Why wouldn't I have like a nice logo on my shirt that says what we do? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't I have my name on the shirt? Why wouldn't I have my logo on the front? Like, it's just like, I have some shirts that have logos and my name on them, but they are literally from 2016, and they have like one of our old logos on them.
I can't understand why people think like Like, you're walking into a McDonald's, everyone has an M on their chest. You know you're in a McDonald's, but it's branding. It's so that you know, oh, like, you're the person that does the bathtubs. Like, what if you're working in a house with 5 other contractors and someone's looking for you and they don't know? Like,
yeah,
you know.
That just happened to me last week. People had no idea who I was when I walked through the door because I'm just like some lady walking into a house. They don't know if I'm like the homeowner or like what.
See, that's a problem. Like especially with the shirts. I mean, if you're trying to get into commercial, you need to have you and your team in uniform. And even in people's houses, people are weird about people. Like, it's just, it's, in my opinion, it's a little sloppy. Like, if I hire somebody and I'm paying a good amount of money for a service and they're just wearing like a regular shirt, like it just looks a little like, if you're not even willing to invest in some nice shirts, like, what kind of job are you going to do?
Yeah. Like, currently, if I like go do quotes or, or do like a consult at a person's house, I don't do those a lot for residential unless they have a ton of stuff they need done, or multiple rooms, or they just seem very unsure about what is even going on. Mm-hmm. I usually don't do in-home consults, but when I do, I don't just wear regular clothes. I try to dress nice, but still it's not logoed. Like, none of it. I don't have like a polo with the shirt on, and I do think that's a problem, especially hotels.
Here's a good point that I can give you, and it's just something to think about. You guys can converse. There's probably hundreds of companies in Texas that do bathtub refinishing, and most of them don't do the things. They don't go the extra mile. They don't have the wrap truck. They don't have the wrap shirts, or they don't have the logoed shirts. They don't have hats made. They don't have any of that stuff made. And you can be one of them, but every single big company that does painting, that does drywall, that does landscaping, that does pressure washing, that does anything, they all do it. So do you want to be closely associated in your look to the bottom of the barrel, or do you want to be closely associated with professionalism and the top of the line? Those are little things that matter, and they really do matter. You can pretend like it, like does it matter in relation to you doing your job well? No, but perception is everything. Perception is everything. Yeah. When it comes to doing work and the way you come off to people, it is everything. How they perceive you from the beginning.
Yeah. We've run my battery down to 5%, so I'm going to have to awkwardly hold it for the rest of this conversation.
No,
sorry.
It's okay.
I've got to plug it in.
I feel bad because I was in the same scenario. I remember, like, I was debating when I was making these hats if I should pay like the extra $5 to get the logo in full color. I was like, oh, do I really need it and all this stuff? But you know what?
Yeah.
I went and I did it. And it's people on, like, they recognize us as soon as we get to a job site. Everybody has their hats and their shirts and everything. With the shirts, I don't do full color because of the same reason. Like, it's going to get dirty anyway. But
yeah,
I get them white shirts, so if white paint gets on it, they could still use them. And then the letters blue, or whatever primary color you guys associate with yourselves. That's what I would do. That's the way I would start. And it's just a little touch to give people peace of mind that you're not just some rando who's going to run away, that you actually own a business, that you're not going to get paid and disappear. And, it's things like that. It's just peace of mind.
I agree. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to have her listen to this.
Is there anything else that she's kind of like weird about that you would like,
I think it's just, anything that we do have to put any extra money into is just very, it's just a topic of debate for sure. So, I mean, that's really it. I think
Do you know?
I mean, anything that you have to pay for that would, in my opinion, help. Like, one thing I have really wanted to start putting more money towards that she absolutely is not willing to pay for is, I do want somebody who understands SEO to help me out.
Yeah.
Like, I've been wanting to pay for somebody to really make sure, at least do like an audit of the website and give me like a list of things I should do, even if we don't pay them to do it, like pay them for that. But anytime I bring that up, she'll just like send me a link to like learn how to do it myself. And I'm just like, I've already probably watched every video on SEO that there is. So I mean, thank you, but
do you know if she had did she have financial hardship when she was younger?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Definitely. And that's a huge, that's it.
Okay.
And I get it. I do get it. I try as the best I mean, I want to be as sympathetic to that as possible while still being able to push forward.
So you do have to sympathize with her. You know, you gotta understand her, but you also need to. And I'm sorry, Mom, you're wrong. It sucks, you know, because I had instability growing up too, you know. So, you know,
and it's not embarrassing to say. I hope she's not like embarrassed that I would say that, but like a lot of people do.
Yeah, and we tend to, like, you know, be a little bit harder about spending money and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, being too conservative will cost you more in the long run. The old saying, like, you need to spend money to make money, is true. Like, yeah. Every big business in America was built off of advertising. Like, word of mouth is one thing, but there's a reason why giant companies run ads, even when everybody knows who they are. It's because it works, you know? So you definitely gotta, you know, you gotta come from a place of empathy, but you also, you know what to do, and you need to decide whether, like, if she can't meet you there with, like, at least trying, then it's either you do it behind your back and, you know, she's going to get upset about it until it works, or she accepts it but she's not happy about it. That's really, that's like, those are the only options. But yeah. if you don't try, it's gonna affect you guys negatively. And the thing is, you need to try, like, today, like, as fast as possible, because the internet is always changing. The ironic thing about it is, she's sending you articles on how to do search engine optimization herself, when whoever has that link, like wherever she got that link from, got to her through search engine optimization. I guarantee you.
You're right.
I guarantee you that link was on the first page. She didn't scroll to page 50 to find that link for you, which tells me whoever did it has an understanding of search engine optimization and got it in front of your mother so that she could send it to you. And you're just trying to do the same thing with your business. You want it to get to people's eyes first. And unfortunately, like, you need to pay people who are professionals to get that done consistently. It's just the truth. But yeah, I mean, it would suck if you try to do everything yourself and maybe eventually you get there, but what if you go months and months and months without knowing what's keeping you off the first page and all the potential business and stuff you miss out on because of that? What if it's as simple as tweaking?
Someone's going to get that business, and it might not be me. It probably won't be me.
And how much is an SEO guy going to cost you? I mean, realistically, to just check on your SEO, like.
Yeah, like I've gotten different quotes, but there was one guy that I really liked. He spent a lot of time on the phone with me. I kind of felt bad about not hiring him because he did spend so much time with me, but you know, he was going to do like a website audit and basically like what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And it was going to be about 1,500.
Yeah, I mean, are you guys going to go bankrupt with $1,500?
No.
Well, yeah, I like that's what you gotta weigh, like, these things and think of it rationally. Like if you had a $1,500 emergency, you would use the money. And like, this is something that is urgent, whether you think it is or not, or she thinks it is or not. Everything's always changing. The internet is constantly changing. You know, now it's NFTs and Bitcoin, and in a month it might be something else. But like, we're moving one way. We're not going back. Like, it's donezo. You walk into a Walmart now, you don't see cashiers anymore. Like, you go online and they know your location when you punch something into Google. Like, everything is moving forward, and it's going to move whether your mom agrees with it or not. So you need to know if what you're doing and it is working, and if not, how to fix it so it does work. And this is something I talked about with Jonathan one day. You need to make sure your search engine optimization is on point, and brand building is going to be the most important thing ever come 5 years from now, because everybody with their little smart devices, there's going to come a day where they say, Alexa, find me a bathtub refinishing company. And if you're not the biggest local brand in your area, they're going to call somebody else. That's just it. So brand building is very, very, very important. And all of those things you need to do. And part of that too is coming up on the first page and making sure your website leaves people with a good impression. But for sure, I mean, you know what to do. And you just need you need to either accept that you're going to piss her off, but later you know that you're going to get to the point where you need to be, or have her accept it. And even if she doesn't like it, be like, hey, I own this too. And I see where things are going, and I've talked to people in the industry, and this is something that we need to do, because once it's too late, it's too late. Because like, if everybody else in your area is hiring SEO people, which they're not, trust me, they're not. Most people won't, because of that same line of thinking. Once they catch on, game over. Because if you've been doing it for so long, you already know, you already have the upper hand. You have that extra time to make money. So when they do, you can outspend them and fuck it. Let them do it. You know, it's just not going to affect me. But if you're late to the party, that same guy that quoted you $1,500 is going to quote you $3,000 because the other guy's one of his clients. And that's what's going to happen. So you need to like get on this kind of thing. It is very important. And time is of the essence, you know. It is something that is time sensitive, unfortunately. Like the thing with the internet is a whole different animal. But when you embrace it, you go on social media, you make posts, you interact with people, you start networking. It is also fantastic. I met Jonathan because he came on my podcast, and he came with me to Puerto Rico and made $30,000 in 3 weeks. Because he was at the right place at the right time. So like, there's so many benefits to networking and, you know, being present online and have people know about you. You're so good on Instagram that I saw your posts when I was looking through Bathtub Refinishing, the hashtag. That's why I reached out to you. So, you know, like, things like that happen. But you right now, you don't need me to click on it. You need somebody in Texas who needs the shit done to click on it. So that's, you know, that's what I can
Hey, I'm glad you did, though.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm always looking for people to come on, and I thought it would be interesting. There aren't many women in our industry, and I think it's important. I think it's important that we have different perspectives and different walks of life and communicate. You know, if we want to build a legitimate industry, we need to open the doors for communication. It's only going to help us. And one of the things that gets me upset is that people speak on behalf of the bathtub refinishing industry in articles and other things. And like, I want to change that. I want us to communicate, to put good content out there that's informative so that people know what this really is and know that, like, most of the time, refinishing is better than replacing. It's more cost effective. It's done in less time. And for hotels and resorts out there to fully understand, like this is like a perfect process for them. You know, no downtime. They get the rooms done really quick. We're in and out of there. It's going to cost them a lot less money. So that's. You know.
Before we wrap up real quick, I was gonna ask you, do hotels find you the same way residential clients do, basically like from ads, or do you do anything specific to do like outreach to them?
Well, I mean, I tell everybody everything because, you know, I don't, just for some people who like, they're like, oh, don't tell people the secrets. It's like, whatever. I just, that hotel that I was at this morning, I got them because they saw a post on LinkedIn. Their regional director of marketing or sales saw my post on LinkedIn. They never asked for a demo. They never had us come by. They're like, when can you do the tubs and how much? So we started today, and my tech just finished, by the way. But that's one way. LinkedIn is B2B mostly, so, you know, business to business. Mm-hmm. You're not marketing more as you're just posting, interacting, and kind of just trying to be part of these little communities of people. I usually comment, post, and like have jokes with people, like kind of make friends with people online in the hotel industry. That's something that's worked for me. And then if I have the opportunity to meet them in person, like that's always awesome. Like I'll go to hotels sometimes and seek them out. So the people that you want to try to go to are directors of engineering. They're usually the ones that do the renovations and stuff in hotels. Also general managers, because they generally oversee everything. They also are the ones that sign off on budgets. So if you can get a good relationship with a GM, I mean, it doesn't matter what the director thinks. GM goes above them. And I'm at the point now where most of the people that I meet are people from regional or corporate. The hotel in Puerto Rico, the gentleman that I met there was from corporate. He was a part of a consultancy company that's hired for hotels that aren't in the continental United States, because in like island countries there's a lot of nepotism. So his company works directly with corporate to make sure and kind of micromanage the hotel, make sure they don't just hire their friends. Yeah. So you know, and once you get to that point, it's like they call you for one, they're gonna keep calling you. We also have that kind of relationship with Diamond Resorts. We've done more than 5 of their resorts. There's one hotel that I mention a lot. It's called Leaky Tiki Village in Winter Garden.
I've heard you mention them, yeah.
And we've done their tubs start to finish like more than 6 times because they just destroy their tubs and just keep paying us to do them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool.
That's kind of like the hotel I worked at in Dallas. They're totally willing to pay full price, and I kind of just go in and redo ones I've already done, like kind of in a circle. But usually it's like 2 years and they're having me redo it again. But yeah, they're, like you said, using cleaners that, you know, they have certain sanitation
standards and stuff,
standards and all that. So
which is one thing I want to combat. I want to get big enough on the podcast where we can start influencing what hotels use, because it's gonna benefit them, really. They just don't have the information, and a lot of companies don't give a fuck enough to like tell them that they shouldn't be using certain things, which I'm very much of the mindset of like they need to have the information so that it actually lasts and legitimizes us. Because if somebody comes up with a way to take out a builder grade bathtub without having to rip out the tile, we're done. It's true.
It's very true.
That's literally what's keeping them from doing it, is the fact that they got to kind of gut the entire bathroom. Somebody figures out a way to get around that, it's done. Unless we, you know, like start proving to them that this can last if they care for it properly. So, and then other than that, it is through ads. I'm very, very big. You won't see companies out here advertising prices. I advertise my prices. I do too. I don't care if somebody charges more or less. I think, because me personally, the way I shop is like, if I see one person with a price, I'm like, well, it's $4.99. Like, okay. Like if I see, if I have to wait for someone to give me a number, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later, I get annoyed. And for commercial,
it seems almost shady. Like, I mean, I don't mean to say businesses who don't have their like prices readily available are shady, but it just seems like you're almost trying to hide something. If you're like, contact me for pricing. Like, I'd rather say, like, here's the starting price. We'll give you a firm price after we see a picture, but, like, here's kind of what to expect. And seems reasonable.
Also, I think that if you get a call and on your website and in your ad, in the prices mentioned, they're more likely to convert coming in already knowing that your prices are about this. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you completely come out of nowhere and they're expecting, because they heard their boy say it's $200, your website has no prices, then they come on and they're like, $400? No, it's not going to happen. They're never going to convert with you. But if they saw $4.99 all the way through and they call you, they're prepared to spend about that much or more. That's the way I see it. Also, I list my clients online, which some people don't do because they're scared that people are going to steal their clients. But I list my hotel clients online. Whenever I do a new hotel, I add it to the website, Instagram, I make posts about it. And I don't care if someone comes over here and tries to steal it, because the way I think about it is exactly how we talked about before. And I'll kind of wrap it up with this. People buy for their reasons and not yours. So somebody can come up and be like, I'll do the test for $100 less. And then they have tried. And hotels will just be like, no. Because they bought for their reasons. And that's it.
Yeah. I love that. I'm going to keep that mantra. Like, I'm going to write it down and, like, always remember, people buy for their reasons, not yours.
Exactly.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, we should definitely do this again one day when you have some time.
Yeah.
And if you have any advice or anything, or like need anything advice-wise, you can text me. I'm going to go ahead and text you and add you to my contacts and stuff. But it was very, very nice talking with you.
It was really nice talking to you too. That's I mean, I really appreciate like taking like full like 2 hours to talk to me, or probably even more than that. I'm sure you've got lots of people to answer to, so yeah. I will jump off here and let you do your thing.
All right. Well, I'll see you hopefully soon, and we'll do this again. But have a great day. Okay.
Thanks. I'll see you on the internet.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the interview portion of this podcast. I think it went relatively well. I can very much sympathize with a lot of the things that she mentioned, and I think she's going to be fine, but definitely needs to work out those things with her mother where they have that disagreement and those clashes, because it's going to be very important for her growth to prove to herself what works and what doesn't without somebody keeping them from even trying. It's the same thing, and this is something that maybe I should have mentioned when we were together. I'm going to wrap it up here, but as like the same way where you learn how to do the refinishing itself by making the mistakes, just like anything in life, you make the mistakes, then you learn, then you get good. You need to do the same thing when it comes to advertising and business. You make the mistake, you lose $500 or $1,000 there. As long as you're not bankrupting yourself, you're going to be fine. But you need to have money to play with and invest with and learn what you're going to do. Come up with that game plan very, very, very well. Optimize it and make a shit ton of money. And that's what you got to do. But anyway, this has been Daniel with BathTubGuys Refinishing. And that's the end of this podcast here. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And we will see you in the next one.
You just listened to the official Bathtub Refinishing podcast, powered by BathTubGuys Refinishing. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Feel free to ask any questions or suggest topics for the next episode by following @BathTubGuys on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. And thanks for listening.